I am mining investor and editor of Resource Stock Digest, Gerardo Del Real, here once again with my partner, friend, and colleague, Mr. Nick Hodge, who's also an investor and the publisher of Daily Profit Cycle. This is the 320th episode of our weekly therapy session that we call Investing in Bizarro World. We're going to talk markets. We're going to talk what we're investing in. We're going to talk about the girl fights. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But beforehand, Mr. Hodge, how goes you? How was your trip with your beautiful family? You were missed, and it's great to have you back. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. The popcorn is needed and will likely be needed for some time to come. Trip was wonderful. Thank you for asking. Kids thoroughly enjoyed Disney. Plenty to talk about. Maybe you can catch me up on some of the things I missed in the markets. But as always, a bizarro world out there, as you alluded to with the popcorn, and plenty to talk about. Big, beautiful bills and Trump-Musk breakups and gold at 3,400 and silver breaking out and copper at $5. And I guess I'll just stop there because there's plenty to talk about. How are you?
I am phenomenal. My Cubs are 15 games over 500. The last time that happened was 2016. 2016 happened to be the last time we won a World Series. That despite a bunch of injuries. My wife gets prettier by the day. She says she loves me at least as much every day. The kids are healthy. Our middle one graduated from the university. The youngest is getting his driver's license and doing job interviews. And the oldest just got engaged. So I am blessed beyond belief, sir. Things are well. Thank you so much for asking. Let's get right to it. Anybody that watches this knows this is not a political podcast show. Call it whatever you want to call it. The platform is about making money, spotting trends, helping family, friends, subscribers, and ourselves make money in the markets by trying to get ahead of the herd, as the late, great Mr. James Dines would say. We've done I would say an exceptional job. I'll pat ourselves on the back, getting early on a lot of those trends. Don't get them all right, but the ones that really needed to count, for the most part, we've gotten correct, right? And I say all that to say that we're going to start with Elon and Trump, and not so much for the popcorn value, for the entertainment value, but because we told you once Trump got elected, and as hard as Elon was campaigning for him, that this was going to be a very, very consequential election with very, very real consequences for everyday Joe, Mary, Jose, Maria, you name it. We're seeing that play out in real time. And I have to say, look, I have said, and I disagree with a lot of this administration's policies, right? But I have to say, Donald Trump's political comeback in this last election race was the single greatest political comeback, regardless of how you feel about him. The guy went from 34 felonies and likely going to prison for the rest of his life to the president of the United States with a mandate and like an overwhelming majority and support to do whatever he wanted. He's got the Senate, he's got the House, he's got the White House. Elon is a large reason why that happened. It was his money and his influence. And here we are less than 6 months later. And if Elon goes from Nazi to the great uniter of America, all within a 6 to 12 month time frame, that may beat Trump for the single greatest political social comeback of an image I've ever seen in my lifetime. And look, it's a couple of days into it, but ooh, the girls are sassy, Nick. I got the popcorn. The girls are sassy. So for those of you that haven't been keeping track, Elon Musk reads bills, unlike the Marjorie Taylor Greens of the world that vote for bills and then go on X immediately afterwards and say, I didn't know that the states would forego 10 years of being able to regulate AI and that all of the AI framework and structure would be hijacked by the federal government. Marjorie, baby, you have one fucking job. Your job is to read bills and decide what's best for your constituents. What are you doing, girl? I know you're like superstar trader now. Like, I get it. The bank account's it's lit, right? It's up. That's not what we're paying you for. And just be absolutely reminded, the citizens are paying you to read these bills. So look, we gave it to the Biden administration for 4 years of how, and the Fed, everybody knows my thoughts on the Fed. I won't go on a rant there. We gave it to them for 4 years. And prior to that, we gave it to the other guy. And prior to that, we gave it to that one. So yeah, Republicans, you're going to get this one because you are royally screwing this up. You had a mandate and the support of damn near everybody in your political base. Like, I mean, Trump rallied Republicans like nobody has rallied a party since Ronald Reagan, right? In my lifetime. Maybe the exception is Barack with the Democrats. He didn't have, all the things that the Republicans have. He had it for like a year and a half. And they are screwing this up, man. I have never seen so many rich people, and I'm talking wealthy people. I'm not talking like Nick and Die rich. I'm talking about the people that would wake up in a cold sweat with nightmares if they woke up with Nick and Gerardo money, right? Those people. I have never seen those people so not want a tax break. And the reason they don't want the tax break, I don't want the tax break. Nick doesn't want the tax break. It's not that we don't want the tax break. It's that we know two things. One, we can't afford it. And two, it's going to lead to insolvency here in the US and or inflation that screws everybody except for asset owners. We've been trying to preach that over the past several years to you all. For those of you that are partisan and voted with your party and maybe voted Republican because they promised to cut the irresponsible spending by the Democrats and the pork in all of these bills. And we were going to get back to the people, and everyday people were going to be able to lift themselves up by their bootstraps. This bill that is being proposed is designed. It's not an accident, folks. It is designed to royally screw you. And while you're on your back or on your belly, the people doing the screwing are the top 1%. And in a lot of cases, the top 0.01%. If you still don't understand that, I don't care what your party affiliation is. There is something going on up here that needs to be evaluated about how tribal your political beliefs are, because this is a mathematics problem. This is not a partisan problem. And look, I'll say this because I want to get your take, Nick, and I could go on forever. I'm animated about this. If Elon Musk is the great savior that the forward-turning promises, I got the popcorn ready, baby. I'm here for it. One last thing that I'll say. The Republicans can't agree amongst themselves on cutting $9 billion of this bill. $9 billion. $9 billion is like 0.01%. I'm sitting here going, who are you talking to? Why are you even why do we even care? Us, the citizens. Why do we even care about whether you cut $9 billion or not? We're trying to avoid adding 3 to 5 trillion here. We're trying to avoid kicking tens of millions of Americans off social safety net programs that, whether you agree or not, there's a smart way to cut those down. Bill Clinton has done this before, folks. He wasn't the most popular Democrat when he told people to get off their ass, go back to work, get off of welfare. You don't work X amount of hours, you're not getting any food stamps. Like, this has been done before. But the way this party is doing it right now, it's not surprising to me that they don't even like each other. And it's not surprising to me that it's getting this sassy this quick. You were gone. Welcome back from Disney World, sir.
Eat your popcorn, man. So, yeah, I feel like I have an almost outsider perspective on this, considering I was gone for a week. And I see that he wants to create, Musk wants to create a new political party now that caters to the middle class. Maybe he should call it the Outsider Club, for example. I mean, tell me something that we haven't been preaching for over a decade, Gerardo. Nothing new under the sun. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, all that sort of stuff. You said it was a mathematical problem. That's 100% correct. You hear this arguing between Johnson and Trump and Musk on, is this bill going to add to the deficit or not? Of course it is, right? The CBO's numbers are out this week. The Congressional Budget Office, they say it's going to raise the debts and deficit. The Committee for a Responsible Budget says the same exact thing. So that mathematical problem is real. You mentioned the fourth turning. The culmination, the ekpyrosis, the burning down of whatever's going to get burned down can be, as I've articulated, and as the book obviously articulates, I'm just regurgitating, a civil war, an international conflict, or something financial. And increasingly, given the bond market action of the past couple of months, given the downgrading of U.S. credit, given the warnings you see from some of those with the fuck you money that you mentioned earlier, like Ray Dalio, et cetera, given their worries and how they've articulated that, it's become increasingly clear to me that it's going to be a financial problem. What I told my wife is, when I saw that they were going to pass the bill, and that it was going to raise the debts and deficits, and that all the Doge crap was out the window and the fiscal conservative crap was out the window. I mean, I just said, well, that's it. It's the runaway debt now. And that gets above my pay grade is what I told her. I said, now we're getting into a place where I don't want to say no one knows how to operate. No one knows how to operate, but few to no people know how it can and
Yeah.
will be resolved and when,
Yeah.
right? So is this a scenario where they kick the can for another 5 years? I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
is the answer to that. Do I think the stock market goes up for the rest of the year, the next 6 months? I do. I think that the market likes spending. I think that it likes the market flows that it gets every 2 weeks from people's paychecks that go right into funds that buy the indices. I think that GDP is looking okay. You look at the Atlanta Fed projecting 3 to 4% for the current quarter. And so you got to separate again the economy from the stock market, and they're two very different things. The long-term economics of U.S. monetary policy, they obviously don't look great given everything that you just laid out. And yet S&P back up to 6,000 while I was gone. Sectors of the S&P starting to break out, stock market looking okay, even the NASDAQ back to bullish. And yet this comes as safe havens like gold go back to 3,400 and silver starts to break out to 35.
Yeah,
So
we're going to talk about that soon. Yeah.
I told you I had Elon Musk muted since right after the election because I couldn't take it. Maybe now that they're having a breakup, I'll have to unmute him.
You have to unmute him, Nick.
And see what's going on.
You have to unmute him. Listen, this is just now. Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. And then he followed that with, mark this post for the future. The truth will come out. I don't know if Donald Trump wants to play with the rich boy that's borderline on the spectrum. And I say that respectfully. He just is. He's admitted to this. The guy has fucking capacity to concentrate on enemies or projects or companies like very few people I've seen in my lifetime. Forget his politics, forget his demeanor, forget the fact that he looks at women as human baby vessels, right? Which is how he kind of treats them, right? He's brilliant when he's focused. And the last thing I would want is Elon Musk with all of his money upset at me, focused on just me. And I mean, he's rage tweeting like every 3 minutes right now. And I don't know that that's the guy you want on you. Trump threatened to cut off his government contracts, and Elon shot back and said, how about I just start decommissioning my Dragon rocket right now, effective immediately, since Donald Trump thinks I need his money, basically. This is going to get messy, man. But I will say this. There have been Republicans that are doing the right thing by the country. Thomas Massie stands out. And the reason he stands out, and Rand Paul on this issue, I have my disagreements with Rand Paul on some other things, surveillance and some of the other things that he voted for in the past that I thought he would never vote for, right? But on this, they're correct. But Mr. Massie is and has been 100% on this for years now. It doesn't surprise me Trump wants to primary him. The counter is Elon getting on Twitter and saying, I will primary every single Republican that voted for this bill on the next go round. And again, folks, this is a guy that's got the money for it. And in this case, Republicans that voted for Donald Trump actually want spending cuts. Even they realize this is not sustainable. When you go to the grocery store, when you fill your gas tank, yes, gas is down the last couple of months. Give it a little bit, baby. You'll see what happens with gas and oil. It's not getting more peaceful, by the way. We got to talk Zelensky and Putin here in a bit. Because while you were gone, I don't know if you kept up with that, but that was that
underwater drones. What's going on?
I mean, absolutely brilliant, right? 2 months ago, Trump said he didn't have the cards, and Zelensky was like, "Okay, I'm not telling you," and him not telling Trump is probably why it was so successful, right? Putin couldn't get tipped off if you believe that conspiracy theory, which I don't know. But look, everybody that Donald Trump has ever been close to, ex-wives, business partners, attorneys, porn stars, whoever, business partners, construction workers, they always end up at odds. They always end up at odds. There isn't.
Where's Giuliani?
Broke, bankrupt, somewhere getting his feet rubbed. I don't know where he's at. I despise that guy quite a bit. So I'll leave him alone for now. But this is messy, but this is necessary. I hope that a new political party comes out of this, or I hope that the Libertarian Party starts getting more support from people with influence, and not just monetary or financial influence like Elon Musk, but with the valor and credentials to actually establish something that really is for the people, because this country desperately needs it, guys, and gals. So yeah, no, look, am I me eternal optimist? That's what I hope for. Will it happen? I don't know how Elon and Trump backtrack this. I don't know how this gets like smoothened out. This is playing out in public in real time. In real time, I don't know that you can put this back in the bag, right? And so in a way, I've kind of been waiting for this moment, like that one moment where like you just can't take it back. I've always said I like it when the first punch gets thrown, because then you can get busy and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You're not gonna win everyone, but I do like the action, and there's a lot of action here. So let's get to how that's gonna affect our portfolios and how we're positioned for that, and why we're positioned the way that we're positioned. You mentioned gold. Every time it tries to go back down, central banks in the East bid it back up, and it seems like 3,300 is the new floor. It won't break that, right, in any convincing way. This despite the stock market holding up. This despite an actual good week on yields, where yes, the dollar index broke down below 100, back down to 98. Yields actually ticked down a little bit this past week, about, I want to say 15 or 20 basis points the last that I checked from their highs, right? And so that's a positive. In that environment, yes, the stock market, the major indices can absolutely stay higher. If the bond market goes the other way, and that's the thing I'm watching the most, as you know, Nick, if those yields, they break back higher, then we have a problem in the overall indices, and we have a bigger problem in the global economy. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. The one thing I know is that in either scenario, gold benefits. Right? If we have financial chaos because the bond market gets crazy and the yields go back up, believe you me, a lot of central banks are going to rush to gold even quicker. If everything stays stable and these dumbass bills pass, and everybody gets a tax cut on the back of, the people that have the least, and everybody gets their pork, which is what I said would happen when Doge was initiated. I said, I'm rooting for Elon. I want him to find the waste. I want him to find the fraud. I didn't think they would let him do it. And I think he feels so used. And I think that's a large part of why he's saying, why did you waste my fucking time for 6 months and all of my money? If the goal was just to get my money, hand me some contracts, make a couple of cases go away litigation wise. That's not what I did this for. I could have done that with my own money. I actually believe the guy that he understands the math and that this is not sustainable. So I'm rooting for him. Let's talk gold. Am I wrong on gold? Do you see something that I don't see? I don't see a scenario where we don't go higher.
No, I mean, you had a lot of people calling for a top in gold and taking some profits. It pulled back to just below 3,200 in the past couple of weeks, but it's bottomed out in the short term, right around there. It seems like it wants to consolidate that run to 3,500, in between 3,200 and 3,400, and then any break up or break out or break down, I think would be to the upside after it consolidates those gains. Not much else to say there, except that the stocks are looking okay as well. Like if you look at the GDX and the GDXJ, especially those that have the silver components in them, which we'll get to, those stocks are looking really good. So, and the other thing I saw today is that gold was up while Bitcoin was down. You had Bitcoin close to 110, 111, if memory serves, before I went on vacation, and was down around 103 today, while gold was up. That means to me, a bit, well, I don't know, a bit more fiscal constraint. I'd like to think that the Bitcoin trades with the M2 money supply. And so I think the gold move is attributable to the bond market, which you already mentioned the last time you and I spoke, because we've had a couple of breaks here. You were away, and then I was away. Did I lose my train of thought? No, I'm not sure.
Bitcoin, gold, fiscal constraint, M2.
Yeah, but the gold is looking not much stronger, but stronger than the Bitcoin at this point. And I was going to say, the last time you and I were talking, we were worried about a bond market, something or another, right? We were talking about bond vigilantes. We were talking about the 10-year being closer to 5%. I'm a little bit not as worried about that bond market going to 5%, right? Like I think you stay below that, and that's what gives the fuel for gold to go higher. What drives that again gets above my pay grade because I don't think it's a slowdown of fiscal activity. I just said I see GDP going back up. So maybe it's a thing where we get rate cuts sooner than expected, given that, we seem to be okay with this 2% inflation. Let me hear your
It's
thoughts.
dicey. I mean, rate cuts when we're not in a recession, a pronounced recession, when those I do worry still about the bond market. I do worry about them deciding that they finally, I'm talking the people that, the bond vigilantes folks, when I reference them, are the insurance companies, the life insurance companies, the funds that own the majority of U.S. treasuries, right? They have the power to take it whichever way they want to take it by buying or selling them. That's the bottom line. They have endless deep pockets. That's who I mean when I say the bond vigilantes. I worry that they might look at this. Sorry, this is a grade A tweet. Happy Pride Month, everybody. That's from me, whether you celebrate or not. This is from @Josh Sorby. This messy Trump Musk breakup is truly the gayest thing about Pride Month. That is a top-notch tweet. Yeah, that is great. Back to where I was. I do worry that the bond vigilantes look at this and go, "Oh, damn, we got the richest man on the planet with one of the largest platforms on the planet, willing to back fiscal responsibility. Why don't we help him out by ramping this thing up real quick and causing some chaos and volatility?" Because it'll be really, really tough for this administration to pass this nasty ass bloated bill to the American people amidst a financial collapse where 401ks are down another 20%, where inflation is running away. I don't see how you can cut rates into that. I could be completely wrong. Again, almost everybody that's alive, folks, is making this up. We haven't seen this in quite some time. We've seen mini crashes, right? You have the long-term capital management in 87. We've been around 2008. Like, we've seen mini blowups, right? That had the potential to escalate. I've never in my life seen something that threatens the entire foundation of the global economy, which is what a blown up bond market does. It forces a restructuring. I don't know that the powers that be, the people with the deep, deep pockets, don't want that, because at the end of the day, let's be frank, the asset owners, if they're properly allocated, and we're going to talk more about gold and silver in a second, specifically silver, don't really mind a financial blow up. If you have land, if you have guns, if you have bullets, if you have food, if you have real estate, if you have gold, you're probably going to be all right. Those aren't the people that are at risk. It's the rest of y'all. And I hate to say it, that's most of y'all. So I don't understand at this point how anybody could support this bill, how anybody could support how irresponsible both parties have been over the past several decades. I mean, I would think everybody wants a new party that can agree on different things. I'm very pro Second Amendment. There's also a smarter way to own guns. I believe that. I'll tell you a funny joke. I went to the Joe Rogan Mothership Comedy Club, right, with my wife 2 nights ago, and Joe Rogan came out. And it was a great joke, but it was a real joke. So he joked about Pride Month, of course, right? And he talked about how Austin is such a unique place. He's like, I went downtown and I was walking around and I'm seeing these guys, and they just passed an open carry law where you can openly carry assault rifles and guns on a university campus. And there were people out there that were protesting it. And so the way they protested that is they came out with big holsters, and they had dildos in the holsters. They had sex toys in the holsters, right? And here's the joke, but it's funny, not funny. It was the people with the dildos in the holsters that got fined $500 each for the dildos in the holsters. The people with the assault rifles, they were all good to go. And so you just can't make stuff up. So what I mean by all of this is there's a better way to do things, folks, whether you're pro Second Amendment, whether you want more responsible gun ownership, whether you want better fiscal and monetary policy. We don't have to take all guns, because I don't believe in that. But also, like, I don't think that you should just be able to go buy an AR without even knowing how to shoot it, right? Like, there should be some basic cursory tests like driver's licenses and gun safety. Like, I don't know. It just seems rational to me. It doesn't seem that Looney Tunes of an idea to me. But I hope that we can come up with a new party or integrate a party or have a party pivot to a point that we can pass laws, we could be reasonable, we could dialogue, we could disagree without this, because this isn't it, folks. Like, I don't care what party you're in. Neither party's doing really well. The Democrats are actually playing this okay by just shutting up. Other than Cory Booker, who decided that he wanted to do the Nazi salute. And interestingly, the media didn't pick up on that. And if you just look at the two images, by the way, and I'm going to rant against the media, they did the exact same thing. It was, I mean, almost to the T. If you just take Elon's head and you put it on Cory Booker's salute, it's the same thing. So do I think Cory Booker's a Nazi? Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course not. The point is, I don't think Elon's a Nazi either. Now, I don't think he doesn't have views. Obviously, like everybody does. Like, but the way the media portrayed one and didn't pick up the other is also telling on the media. So no, look, definitely fourth turning stuff. I want to bring it back to the markets. I want to bring it back to silver. You and I have been waiting for silver to break out. We've told everybody stock up on the silver names. I've been pretty adamant about my largest silver holding. That's done very well. I still can't believe it's trading at the levels it's trading at. I think that's a triple between now and the end of summer, with some drill success, which we're drilling right now. But silver is trading at levels not seen since 2012, if I recall correctly.
That's right.
Breaking that 35.60 level. And we said before, if it breaks 35, I think it goes to 38. We said if it breaks 38, it goes to 42. And then you step ladder to new all-time highs. You're the chartist. I missed you last week. What's that looking like for you, Nick? And that was a big break, that 35 break, and it held it. It closed.
Yeah, and it touched 36 if you look at the wick of the candle and the futures market. So, and I'm flashing back to a couple of weeks ago where you're asking me about silver being an industrial metal, and I was saying it can be industrial because I see economic expansion in the second half of the year. So if you have rates going down and you have the economy going to be okay for the next 6 months, so you'll have that industrial demand for silver, for the electronics and other things, then the breakout looks like it can be real. And as you just said, it goes to 38 in a hurry. So I did want to touch just on one thing you said there about this being unprecedented and none of us having been here before. I don't want to take the complete opposite side of that coin, but I did want to say that we lived through 2008 and that felt or seemed like the end of the world when you were in the thick of it. We lived through COVID, which felt like the end of the world when stocks were down however many percent and the VIX spiked up to 80. And yet they were able to paper over it, kick the can, punt, whatever term it is you want to use. And also at the same time, I've been told ever since I was in this industry about these problems, right? The debt is unsustainable at 15 trillion, 16 trillion, 20 trillion, 25, 30. Can I get 35? Can I get 36? But what has the stock market done? Record highs after record highs after record highs. Yes, the purchasing power of the dollar has been eroded, but the strength of the U.S. dollar as a global currency, I don't think is really in question. Yes, China's dumped a little bit, but as we've touched on in recent weeks, they can't just dump all their treasuries. They would implode the market. And so when you say that this is unprecedented and no one knows how to operate because no one's seen this, I think that's part of the problem. Like, we're always told that it's the end of the world. As I just laid out, 2008 was the end of the world. 2020 was the end of the world. And we always come out the other side of it in some way. Is it the best way? Does it create more underlying structural things that we then have to deal with?
Yeah.
And I don't know, 8 years, 4 years. It's been 5 years since COVID. We're still dealing with the fallout of that money printing. But the U.S. Has always found a way. And so I guess what I'm saying is I'm not running for my shelter just yet because, and maybe this is rope-a-dope, maybe they've got Nick Hodge roped in for the past 20 years, always papered over it. Everything is going to be okay. And maybe I'm the sucker, not seeing the writing on the wall.
I like optimistic Nick, by the way. This is usually me. Just on this one, I think we're on the other side of it. Let me counter that. Let me counter that really quick. A small counter, by the way. I don't disagree with you. I don't think that we won't come out of it. I just think that it's going to be a radical restructuring, unlike anything that we've seen before in my life anyway. Bretton Woods type stuff. I do believe it leads to that. Do I know that happens this year? No. Do I know it happens in 5 years? No. I don't have the crystal ball on it, but I know it, like where we're at. Interest payments consuming 25% of all government revenue. That's never happened before. Like that. Like we just haven't had that, and so. I don't know when it happens. I just know this is not sustainable. I don't know how it looks when we come out on the other side of it. I'm fairly confident that asset owners will be the people shaping the policy. And I'm fairly confident that just like before, asset owners will shape policy that benefit asset owners. Like when men make laws, they tend to benefit men first, right? At the exclusion sometimes of what I call the better half, right? Woman. And so, look, I think we'll be all right. I think asset owners will be all right. I think people that have access to capital and credit and assets will be okay. I think for everybody else, it's going to be a nasty betrayal, especially the most tribal of Democrats and Republicans, because I think both have been led astray by their respective parties for a very, very, very long time. We haven't had a balanced budget since Bill Clinton. And I remember Democrats hating Bill Clinton. One, because Monica liked him and he didn't like them. She didn't like them. And two, because he did bring in a lot of cuts that were very popular with Democrats and that really led to voters coming out. He cut welfare. He cut food stamps. He cut a whole bunch of stuff that people didn't care for, but he got it done. And so, again, there is a way, but mathematically, there really isn't a way to come out of this in the same shape, way, fashion, or form.
And it could be a thing where they paper
Yeah.
over it, and the stock market's okay, but you're only making 5 to 7% a year in your 401k, while other assets like gold and silver and things you can drop on your foot are delivering twice to 3 times that on an annual basis.
Yeah.
And so you get left behind
Yep.
by not being plugged in and allocating appropriately. And allocating is a big part of what I do, right? And so obviously that's a plug for us and our publications.
Yeah.
But stock pickers market, even in the resource market these days.
Yeah.
So you really got to know where your money is, and what assets are performing relative to the assets that you own, and make sure you're in the best ones. Obviously, that's what this game is all about.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Back to your point about the economy not being the stock market, not being the bond market, not being the resource market. Platinum and palladium quietly are having themselves a week, right? I think palladium was up 4% today. It's up some 10% recently. Platinum it's back to the 1100 level, above it. Palladium's right at the $1,000 level. Both looking healthy. Names that we own, both in our letters and personally, have performed exceptionally well, as we've told you they would. And so again, Copper just touched the 5 handle again in the futures, right? Breaking out. All of this despite a global slowdown. And so there's a bifurcation between stock markets, commodity prices, and what's going on in the global economy. It's either that or there's less of a slowdown than people think. And the numbers, to your point, Nick, tend to point to the latter, that there may be less of a slowdown than what people think or than what people have priced in. So back to your point, do I think we're okay in the overall indices for the next 6 months? Sure, if the bond market doesn't blow up. Do we think commodities are going to continue to do well in this environment? Absolutely. In the blow up environment, gold and silver will. I'm not so sure for some of the other ones. Copper will, because of the structural demand and in the structural deficits that have materialized there. We can have a lot less demand in the copper space over the next several years, which likely won't be the case. But even if we did, we have a lot less supply to meet that less demand. So copper is going to be okay, which is why we're positioned the way we're positioned. But your thoughts on the base metal markets, because they've had a hell of a run here this past week. Pretty charts.
You broke up a little bit there. Yeah. First on PGMs, you broke up a little bit there after you started talking about copper and things. But let me see if I can give you an answer. I see the PGM movement in my portfolio. Obviously, you're not frozen now. I can see it.
All right.
Shameless plug again. That's what I'm going to start doing on the free portion of the podcast. I recommended Generation Mining below, I think 15 cents it was, as a tax loss candidate at the end of 2024. That stock's approaching 35 cents. It's got all its federal permits to build that mine. It still has to finance it, of course, which is a big hurdle, which is why we sold. But we sold and we made money. It was the right call at the end of 2024, and that's played out very nicely The other one I won't mention, in Brazil, which we financed at 60 cents. And that's the one I saw move in my portfolio, right? Because
Yeah.
the stocks you have a big position in, obviously, when they start to move, your portfolio starts to move in a bigly way. And while I was on vacation, checking my phone in between rides at Disney, I saw the portfolio moving, and it was because, well, there's a couple of reasons why over the past week the portfolio was looking good, but one of them was that PGM play in Brazil, and so. To base metals, which you were asking about, I think copper's okay. You know,
Yeah.
touched $5 for the first time since April. Some of those stocks are trading really well. I'll pound my chest a little bit more. I was buying Freeport
Yep.
a couple of months ago.
Yep.
That stock's now up more than double digits in the foundational profits portfolio, and then obviously some of the smaller ones that you dabble in or have done even well, especially the ones that are drilling now. There were the other reason that my portfolio was up over the past week, right? And so we keep saying this thing, you know, barring a bond market collapse, whatever. I'm just going to set that aside for now and say that I see economic growth in the second half of the year. I think that's one of the reasons that copper and silver are doing what they're doing. They're getting the benefit of both being a safe haven coupled with their industrial demand nature, right? If the economy is going to grow, as I said earlier in this podcast, going to need more silver, going to need more copper. What else did I want to mention? I got to give you a little bit of, well, let's just do rare earths and uranium. Let's just get into it
Yep.
because uranium's on the thing. So while I was gone, trade negotiation talks broke down between China. We haven't really
Imagine
mentioned
that.
that. We haven't really mentioned that yet. All these tariffs that were supposed to happen, and no more Mr. Nice Guy. I saw Trump was tweeting, and despite that, China's still not exporting rare earths. You've got the automakers in the U.S. and Europe saying that very soon, very soon, they're going to have to slow down their production lines because they simply don't have the rare earth magnets
Yep.
to produce those cars. The New York Times article I was reading today, we know how crucial the magnets are, but it was saying that just one car seat in a luxury vehicle, just one car seat, you know, to move up and down and heat your tush and blow cool air on your back through the perforated holes that I know you and I have in our cars, Gerardo. 12 different rare earths that you need for one car seat, right? And again, back to the portfolio. I look at the rare earth stocks that I've mentioned on this podcast and that I have a video out right now. And they've done really well over the past 3 months, up 50%, right? And just to relate it to Disney, sorry, I'm just going to hog some airtime
Hog
now.
airtime and pound that chest, man. It's a lot easier to spend money at Disney World when the portfolio is rocketing and everything is up, right?
That's what I was writing about today.
Love
so
it.
I don't know if you caught the
I
editorial
did. It was
yet
well
or not,
done.
but
Go to dailyprofitcycle.com/subscribe, folks, and you can get free weekly editorials from Mr. Hodge, myself, and our talented group of editors over there on the house.
that's it. So I'll just summarize it. You know, I was setting up a meeting with a colleague of ours, someone I don't know well, but that we might get to know much better here in the future. And I was saying I can't meet this week. I'm at Disney with the family, but anytime next week, just name it and I'll be there. And he said, good luck getting out of there for less than $20,000. And I stopped and I thought for a minute, and I was like, he's actually right. Like, I don't know if I am going to get out of this for under $20,000, right? But like you say, when the portfolio is going up, it's all good. And that's what the editorial was about. So a couple of things. One, mining, whether you like it or not, is inextricably tied to our lives. Like, I was just going around the park and it's like, oh, we're riding a mine cart in an underground gem mine. And there's like the dwarves got like gems and they're holding them around. And they got the unobtainium in the Pandora exhibit in Animal Kingdom, which was my kid's favorite rides. Like, you get on the back of one of those Avatar dragon things. I think they're called Banshees, and you fly through Pandora. Well, what was the whole point of that movie? They were there mining unobtainium. That's like and compare that to the names of the rare earths, right? Terbium, yttrium, dysprosium, praseodymium, all the things, right? Not far off from unobtainium, right? And so the connection was this: like, how many rare earths do you think are in that Pandora ride? So you can biometrically link yourself to a Banshee and fly through space or whatever. Like, there's some rare earths there, and in the maglev trains and in the people movers. And the one day we got the VIP tour and he was telling me all the things. Like, I think they get $30,000 a week just from like the fountains in one of the parks that people just throw money in there. So you can imagine the volume of people that come through there. And anyway, I get a little bit off topic, but Disney uses a lot of rare earths, and a lot of their mines, a lot of their rides are related to mines and mining. Even the Star Wars ride was about, galactic resource wars and appropriation and things like that. And it's no different than the scenario we face both with rare earths and with uranium, right? We need to go somewhere to get rare earths. We stop mining them here. Do we need to go to Pandora and rape some planet that's in space? No. Do we have to be better about producing them and permitting them here at home? We absolutely do. And the same thing with uranium. And so this investment case is it's been playing out, but really over the past couple of weeks and with those trade breakdown talks and with China, these rare earth stocks have got another pop, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of wiggle room there. On the uranium front, the catalysts continue to come, and it's the same thing. Like, we outsourced all the production. We need 50 million pounds a year in the U.S. Alone to power our 90-some reactors, and we produce, like, I don't know, zero fucking uranium, like a tiny little bit.
1 million pounds last I checked, or
exactly.
something like that. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So, by the way, the company that's producing that is one of the 2 picks in the rare earths promo, because they're also processing heavy rare earths and making the concentrates, right? One of those stocks that's up 50% in the past couple of months I was mentioning. And so, for all of Trump's faults and the big beautiful bill that sucks, he has done
he knocked that one out the park. Absolutely.
The
Executive orders on uranium and critical
thing.
Metals, no doubt about it. Absolutely.
I mean, permitting a mine in 2 weeks, I don't think people appreciate what a step change that is. Yeah. I mean, a 2-week permitting time at the federal level, Gerardo. We were just involved in a company, Perpetua, congrats on Perpetua, by the way. That's a $23 or $24 stock. I'm sure you've seen in the past couple of days. Yeah. We ran an entire promotion about that for the past year or so. If you guys didn't buy that at $4 or $5, I'm sorry. But that was listen, we were in, this is actually ties it together perfectly. Yes. The reason we went to Disney was to celebrate my oldest daughter's 9th birthday.
Yep.
She was born the same year that project went into permitting.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in permitting for 9 years. So to do a uranium mine in 2 years is absolutely bonkers. And I think you'll see more of that. And it's reflective in the portfolio. I mean, uranium stocks back to bullish. Uranium price, the spot price back over $71, and the rare earth equity is performing. So I'm not sure really what I was talking about there, but
No. Critical metals and the scarcity and how quickly things change. You left, Nick, and it was a uranium bear market, right? And we had companies cutting back on their marketing because they wanted to wait till things turned. You come back, and all of a sudden, the executive orders from the Trump administration, again, congrats on that. They're spot on that. That is, a continuation of the hilariously named Inflation Reduction Act. But that's exactly what we said would happen. They're just going to hijack it, make it theirs, and move forward. Not because they want to just mine everything, but because we have to do it. Like Nick was explaining, we don't have a choice, folks. It didn't matter who was in office, but kudos to this administration. They are the ones that got that done. I'm going to give you all a pick on the premium portion of this podcast here shortly that I've given you before. But if you're not buying this with both hands right now in the uranium space, I can't help you. Like, don't. So it's going to be free. You're going to make your money's worth on this podcast just with that pick alone. If you don't already own it, I can't help you any more than that. It's such a gimme. It's easy as heck. And we'll get to that. Before we go, it's been so crazy. It's been just nuts, and it continues to be nuts. We have to talk Palantir, because it goes back to where we are as a country, where we are as a government, and where we are. I talked about the Second Amendment and how pro Second Amendment I am. And, it's astonishing to me that at this point, anybody thinks it's a good idea to allow Palantir to create a national database that merges every single American's data into one access point. I'll be honest with you. I think that already exists. I just think it exists for the CIA. I think Snowden has been telling us that for many, 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 many years, right? But the fact that politicians have the nerve to propose this to American citizens just out in the open. I almost rather you take $100 from me and not tell me and me not notice than you just come in and try to go in my pockets, which will probably get you hit, right? This makes me want to hit somebody. Like, if that's the stuff that they're telling me they're going to do and want to do, what's the stuff they're doing to me I don't know about, right? I don't know. How do you feel about that, Nick? I can't believe they got the nerve to propose this to American citizens in 2025.
You know, it's amazing that I've never read the book 1984, but I actually started it before I went on vacation. I'm listening to it, and gosh, it obviously resonates. Nearly 100% correlation with what's going on. Even like the slogan of the political party, right? Ignorance is strength, war is peace. I mean, security is giving up all your privacy, right? Which, as you said, we've known for a long time because of Mr. Snowden. And so I'm with you. You know, I think that things like this already exist, given what we know about the NSA spying
Yeah.
and eavesdropping and prying, but it's never something I would support or condone. I mean, again, going back to the Outsider Club, this was one of the main tenets, and this was, you know, the Outsider Club was founded during the Snowden times, and we were thoroughly in support of him and WikiLeaks and Assange airing the dirty laundry, because transparency is good for democracy. And so, as a libertarian, you already mentioned the Libertarian Party in this podcast. You know, I don't believe in trading privacy for security. Our forefathers were warning us about this, and yet, you know, sort of as I was saying about the papering over the financial problems, right? Like, we know this is going on. We know that the spying is going on, and yet they continue to do it. They continue to build these databases, and we just, you know, roll forward. And even have, you already mentioned Miss Green being a top tier trader. I mean, I'm sure you remember the stock she was trading a couple of weeks or months ago. Time is a flat circle these days. I can't keep track of the days, but you know, it was Palantir that she made that money on by having an inside track on the bill or the deal that they were getting. And so, obviously not in favor of this. I'm not sure what else to say about that. It's one of the reasons that I'm neither Republican nor Democrat, because both parties were supporting the wars of the early 2000s and the subsequent domestic spying programs that were born out of that. It's similar to why I'm neither Democrat nor Republican, because of their fiscal policies. I believe they're both wanton spenders. I don't believe they have an interest in the middle class, as we already went over. And yeah, that's about it. I think that they go into power to enrich themselves, and you can clearly see that by how their net worth increases relative to their constituents, while perpetuating the status quo, i.e., papering over the nation's fiscal problems and continuing the draconian military industrial complex that's existed for many decades.
Yeah, no, I look, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm going to end the free portion of the podcast with a tweet from Mr. Kanye West, who's another person I really fucking don't care for. But this is a funny tweet. He says, "Bros, please know we love you both so much." 2025 bingo card is lit. I am here for it. I got my popcorn. Oh my God. I can't make this stuff up, guys.
No, yeah. I can't believe his girlfriend or wife just has her walk around naked. I mean, it's like, it's an alternate reality.
it's a bizarro world. Let's get to the premium portion of the podcast. Some things to get to, right? That is all I got. Anything else you want to get off your chest, Mr. Hodge?
No, I'm sure there's something, but we'll save it for next week.
Hey, there was a lot this week. Go check out X, folks. It's entertaining. I am Gerardo Del Real, along with Mr. Nick Hodge. This was the 320th episode of our perfectly titled podcast, Investing in Bizarro World. It's going to be a fun weekend, folks. Y'all have a great one. Be safe out there. Take care, everybody.
Keep your popcorn ready. See ya.